What is up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created my track Energy, which came out on You&Me Records. This got played by the likes of Enzo Siragusa, Voigtmann, Preku and many more. Undoubtedly this has been the most popular track that I've ever created and probably the one that has done the most damage in the clubs for me. I'm still playing it now and I'm sure whenever you watch this video I'm still playing it. It's a bit of a kind of classic for me and I do hope it stands the test of time. This video is taken from my SYNTHO learning platform, so you may hear some references to other material, and if you want to check that out the link will be in the description. But as always, any questions on the video, just pop them below. I hope you enjoy it and yeah, let's get into it. Hello folks and welcome to the highly anticipated Energy Breakdown. Whenever you're watching this and wherever you're watching this, this is definitely the most popular track I've made by a long while. It's just come out on my own imprint, You&Me Records, which is my Manchester-based party, which has been running for 7 years, and we turned it into a label about 3-4 years ago. And admittedly, the release schedule has not been as consistent as we would like, but it's hard, you know, trying to find good music, trying to make good music takes a long time. So unless you're going for this kind of accessible tech house sound, it can be quite hard to find the right kind of music. So this is the A1 for the EP, meaning it is the lead track, and it's been played by the likes of Enzo Siragusa, Voigtmann, Lauren Lowe Sung, Rossi, Dana Rue, George Savaretti, a whole host of big names, Arch Hamilton as well. So I definitely did something right with this track. I'm going to be quite, don't know what the word is, confident with myself, I guess a bit arrogant, that it is a great tune. It's a great tune. Otherwise, it wouldn't have got played by so many people. So in today's video, I'm going to try and do my best to explain how you could make a tune like this yourself, the key elements, and yeah, just the usual kind of walkthrough and drop some knowledge bombs and try and explain my thought process. To begin with, we're going to look at the send and returns. This is really important. If you don't already know what a send and return is, it's basically when you can put an effect on a channel and then you can send a signal to it from anywhere on the sounds. So you see we've got A, B, C, D, E and F. So you can see on here, you can send the effects to this. So on A, I've got a drum reverb, which is a Lexicon by UAD. It's called an 80s snare reverb, which gives a nice bit of old schoolness. On B, we've got the fab filter, a bit of a longer reverb. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I always like to have a longer reverb on the second send and return. C, I always like to have a ping pong delay, which is the classic. This is with Sound Toys, which is very nice. Then on D, this is important, I've got a dub Galaxy tape delay, which if you've been an OG member, you'll know this has been here with me since the start. But honestly, in this track, I think I use this quite a bit. And then on E, I've got my weird delay, which is the Korg SSD delay. You can buy real ones, these for about £300. They are very cool, and they've just got some super weird and fucked up kind of vibe, which I would highly recommend checking out. And then on F, we've got the Culture Vulture, which is the distortion. I'm just showing you that now because sometimes I kind of forget to look at what's being sent to where. And you'll see, say, for example, we've got the OB pad here. You can see B and C are turned up, so that means it's going to the ping pong. And it's going to the reverb. So it'll just allow for things to make sense if I kind of forget to mention the send and returns. So I think what we should do is, in case you've not heard the track, why don't we give it a play for a couple minutes? And then we will get stuck into this walkthrough. Just moved the vocal sample with my mouse when I was clicked on it before. Let's just zoom in here. There we go. Turn the vocal up a bit. It sounds a bit quiet. I think I must have turned it up in the final pre-master version. Skip to the main drop. Still sounds super fresh to me, which is really, really nice, because previously a lot of the tunes are released by the time it comes out. Kind of gone off them, but this one, absolutely love it. I think I'll still be playing it for a while. So we shall start off with the kick drum, as it's always a nice place to start. And it was taken from my S2400. It is just a classic 909 sound. Let's listen to it. And here's a little interesting fact for you. When we go through these drum sounds, you'll hear a bit of a kind of white crackly noise that came from my hardware. And I actually got this tune mixed down by Chris Carrier, who did a nice little final touches on it. And as you can tell, listening to this, the pre-mix version of mine sounded pretty much the exact same. But it was this horrible white noise, which had to be, we had to use a gate to get rid of the noise in the end. So you see like that, if you take that off, there's a constant white noise. So in the track, there's actually this weird kind of pulsing white noise, which obviously is very, very bad for the overall mix. However, it actually adds a bit of a vibe. So I would not recommend doing that at home. But when I recorded the sounds in from the machines, I got some kind of weird signal through the mixer. I didn't even notice at the time, but then when he mixed it, he noticed. So the kick drum at the moment is just a 909 with a straight 4x4. Nothing fancy. And I've got my EQ here, which I want to show you. Cutting off at 30. A little dip there. You see there when you take that off, it's a bit tubby kind of. Put that in. This dip here really suits this kick well. And I'm going to assume that this is where the organ was kind of coming through quite nicely. Then we're using this Pultec EQ by UAD, which you can see is attenuating some of this frequency here, which is taking away 8,000 hertz. And then you see there we've done this boosting and attenuating trick here. If you want to know more about the Pultec, there is good information online. It's a famous EQ, which many use for kick drums. You can get a free version, but you can basically go to 60 hertz, boost it, and attenuate it, which means it's bringing the frequency down, bring the amplitude down, and you get this really nice kind of vibe. So if I turn this off, and then we've got transient shaper, which is just giving it a bit of poke. Can you feel that? It's making the top end cut through a bit better. So I'm going to put that gate on actually. Actually, we'll just have to listen to how it is. But yeah, that's the kick drum. Nice and simple, 4/4, everything you can do at home. And next it's this organ sound. So and I've got a feeling loads of people are going to copy this sound, but I mean, so be it. I've already used it, so yeah, it's just a sample. It's a sample from the DX100, and again, I've just cut 20 hertz off, and you can see there where it's coming through really nicely. Here, around there. That's where I dipped the kick. Sounds really, really cool. And then we've got a bit of reverb on it here, where it's going to. We'll look at the melody. So melody's just this classic, I've got to say, this is kind of like a real classic Josh Baker melody. This is the kind of thing that I used to always do in my tracks. So it's just 3-4 notes, and it just goes up over the bar. And that little note there, the jump up, really adds a nice... And yeah, there's not much to show you there. It's just the melody, which is really killer. And as you know, the ABL3 comes in from here. So I have actually got a video inside SYNTHO which talks about the ABL3. And it's essentially just a recreation of the 303 by Roland. As you can see, it's a very simple melody. It's just one note, so D sharp. If you look at this organ, the root note is the D sharp. So basically, I've just followed this D sharp the whole way through. And what these three notes are here is a nice chord between them. And I played the chord, and I was like, okay, them notes sound good together. I'm just going to write a very simple melody sticking between them three. So if I actually loaded a piano in... let's just do a soft piano. Let's see if my MIDI keyboard's going to work. If I play the D sharp, let's have a look. D sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. Super nice. Are we down? And that's the notes I'm using for the melody. Just these three. So it's the... Let's bring it down an octave again so you can see. I'm going to put it up an octave. And I just stuck between them notes. And this is just a minor chord. Very simple. But you hear this pattern and these kind of chords and notes between a lot of the old school housey kind of sounding stuff. So super simple really. And then the ABL3, I've just followed that root note with the D sharps. Simple formula you could do is just find a chord that you like, some minor chords. Say you're working in C minor, you'd go C, C sharp, and G. You can just type in like C minor, minor chord, and it'll tell you which notes to use. So C minor is the chord is this. So we'd go. Yeah, G. Simple, simple. And maybe I'll do a video separately on this symbol formula, but the D sharp just follows it. And as you can see down here, I've got a lot of automation. So we got ABL3, let's go cut off. And the cut off is opening. And I recorded this with the Ableton Push. You see how it opens up? And you can see it moving on here. And it's that automation that gives this flow. And it just goes up through the whole track and the net. You see the resonance all the way up now. If you've got any kind of MIDI controller that you can map to plugins, you can record really great stuff live. And it gives it this hardware feel then. When elements are moving throughout the track, it makes it so much more interesting. And you can see there we had to do it by hand. As in I had to click the dots in myself. But most of that recorded in live. And next we're going to look at the processing. So the difference between this and your normal ABR3 is this Culture Vulture distortion, which is a really, really iconic distortion made by Thermonic Culture Ltd. I've seen this in some great studios, and if you just take it off, it sounds a bit, pony, a bit digital, a bit tech house, like what a lot of the kids are using. Put this on, turns into an absolute big boy. And the drive is just cranked all the way up. We've got the dry wet on 100%, and it just gives it that complete bite that I wanted the acid to have. And it really cuts through the whole mix then. Bearing in mind this is the final mixed version, but the ABR3 still, even when I created this idea, I wanted the acid to be at the forefront of the whole track. And then following on from that, we've got the Pro Q3, which is just rolling off 100 Hertz. And this just gives the organ bass a bit more room. If we take the ABR3 off, there's just some low frequencies there. And to round it off, we've got the micro shift. I saw someone comment saying this tune sounds 3D. And yeah, using micro shift will do that. You see that? Goes even wider. Could have potentially been wider in hindsight. So as a low end, I've said this numerous times, that if you nail your bass line and nail that low end groove, the rest usually just falls into place. This is by far the hardest bit to get right, but I've noticed most of my best tracks have been when I've nailed the bass line, nailed the bass, and the rest seems to fall into place. So next we're going to look at the snare. There's going to be an annoying amount of white noise. I do apologise because of the build up from the synths, but this is the project. Like, there is no hiding away from that. So the snare is this. Just a classic 808 snare, which if you want to do it inside the box, I can show you what the sample would look like. You could even use the Ableton's drums. I go 808. We'll leave this in here so we can just reference each sound, because I think most of the drums are from the 808. But you see here, oops. Let's look at the pattern. And it's this call and response between every bar. So da 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 da, and then look at the end of that da da da. And this call and response, how many times have I gone on about it, guys? It's the basics of groove making, and it just means that, as simple as grooves, if we zoom all the way in, nice and tight, and simple, yeah, there's a bit of reverb on it. We've got some EQ, just taking away some of the low end. Must have found a resonant frequency there, so it's dipped a bit. If we take this off, quite fat, but I kept it quite thin in this track. Then decapitator, just giving it a bit more distortion. And then as the track is playing, we've got the clap as well. So I'm going to play this. And what's cool about this clap is it's very short and sharp. And in the club, it really pierces through the mix. So to do that with like a kick core, this clap here is quite long. what you could actually do is open it up. You could do something like this. So it's a short, sharp one. A bit longer than that. It's like this. Because when it plays all the way through, it's got quite a long tail. You see this bit here? So we could just bring this shorter so we don't have any tail. And on both sounds, we've got the reverb. And that groove there, with the snare, call and responding. And then right at the end of the bar, you can hear the fill. Listen there. And it starts again. Simple but effective. How many people are still not using call and responses? A lot. Can make everything sound much more interesting. So we did have this break in here, but I believe we got rid of it in the end. I used that in Feel It, the exact same one. So we'll be hearing that a bit more at a later date. So next, let's get the closed hat in there. It's just a simple 808 hat. So you could use that in the 808 kit core, just the closed hat, which is here. And as you can see with this clap and the snare, call and response again. So we can whisk through that. It's just got a bit of distortion on decimal. And then the 16th hat. And this is quite interesting because it has a bit more effects on it. So with this, to create the movement, I've got the meta flanger by Waves. So if we solo it, turn the meta flanger off. It's a bit more vanilla. Turn it on, you get a bit of swirl. Fill it a freak on, then it really starts to move. This preset laser ramp we've got on. Then just a bit of EQ. But then if we have now we're rolling. And next we're going to look at the cymbal. This is kind of cool. This is an 808 cymbal. And it just plays at the end of the bar. I really like this. You'll see it there. And it just adds something nice at the end, you know, to chuck in there, so it's not just the same kind of loop over and over again. And here you go. Ready? I think it sounds super nice. And then we can't forget about the 909 open. Classic. Bit of decapitator on there to make it sound nice and dirty. I'm going to talk about the organ in a sec. We'll go through the rest of the drums. Then we've got this zap. So the zaps, I love a good zap. This on its own sounds like this. It's almost just a little fidgety thing. If we play it from the intro, it's delayed a lot with the sender returns with the 8th dot. And it just gives it this kind of rolling, twitchy, just a fun kind of sound. These sounds were used a lot in this old UK breakbeat stuff, with these zaps kind of repeating And we also have this section with the 909 that goes like this. Because I recorded this from the S2400. And this gives it a bit of a funk. Which sounds cool, I think. And the other thing is this wood, which I added quite late on. It goes dun dun dun. And again, with a cymbal, it just means there's some kind of noise here. So that's the drums. I would say it's fairly simple. Most of them run an 808. You could find them in here. The wood sample is... You could just use something like a conga. These work for them kind of sounds. Clav. And then the next sound is this organ wide. So what I did was I duplicated the bass melody during the breakdown. So if you hear this section here, if you listen to this, when it was a breakdown, I wanted something else to come in. So we use this, which is this M1 sound. It is the 50 split one organ. So anyone could use that. But I'm muted. Just that BX100. Then kickstart, EQ some low end out. And it creates this tension. And this is used in both the main breakdowns. And I think it's a really nice touch. And you can hear that wood there. It sounds really cool. I've left this in the breakdowns. With a nice delay on it as well from the D, which is the tape. You can just feel that coming to the distance. These little kind of delays just add a nice spice and depth to the track. So the drums and bass are so solid. Now it's just a matter of how can we turn this very nice loop into a full track. And this is where you need to get these nice elements that fill in the different sections between the drops, the next build up, and etc. So I thought, why don't we get a vocal hook in there? And in this random thing here, track 57, I managed to find one. So let's just play it for you the whole way through.
Energy and consciousness. Energy and
I'll try and play a C, one sec.
energy and consciousness.
And the summer of love.
Energy and consciousness.
So as you can hear, I'm actually going to crop this sample.
Energy and consciousness. Energy and
So I use this Altar Boy on it next, which is by Sound Toys.
energy and consciousness. Energy and
Just pitched up a slight bit
energy and
with the pitch.
consciousness. Energy and
I use this.
energy and consciousness.
I want it to be more mono. See there, mono's on.
Energy and consciousness.
Put it in mono.
Energy and
And then I use the mic just myself.
energy
To spread it.
consciousness.
Then EQ'd.
Energy and consciousness. Energy and consciousness. Energy.
So when the rhythm plays, it just goes.
Energy energy, 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 energy,
As you can see,
energy, energy,
he cuts off,
energy,
you know, at the end, the notes, it's not the full length.
energy, 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 energy,
It's just on the kick drum, so it's the one. If I play the metronome.
energy, 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 energy,
As you can see the delays here, the automation on the D, which is, sorry, it's on the E, which is the tape here, sorry, the delay on the Korg. Then it's also automating on the reverb up there. And these subtle differences just keep the vocal moving, you know, even when it's the same loop.
energy,
Can you hear that delay?
energy, 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 energy,
If I play up the kick and the bass.
energy, 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 energy,
And if we listen to it in the breakdown, we then change the pattern a bit.
energy, energy,
And this little difference really makes it go off. And you see there's a gap then, before the drop, it's a gap. Hear that delay going dead weird? And I think having this gap of no energy, when the energy comes back, and no pun intended, of like, I mean, when the vocal comes back and the literal energy comes back, then it's almost like, yes, the vocals come back. So sometimes having sections like that where the vocals just cuts out, then when the energy comes back, because there should really be one on the kick drum if I was going to follow the normal pattern, but I decided to have nothing on the drop, so it's just pure beats, bass and power, and then the energy comes back in slightly after that, and then the crowd go wild, so to speak. Bang. There we go, it's back. Then the automation continues. And I do feel like, let me mute these, it's almost like the track feels like it's done from there. And this is the difference between, you know, like your nice loops and how to make something really stand out is trying to nail the next elements. So for example, in this section here, it could just go build up, kick comes out, and keep going. But I want to create this next level of emotion and feeling. So I've got these stabs in here. So if we look at the Prophet, it's just these notes playing. Simple, just dead simple. And if you notice, where are we? So when the vocal comes out, we've got this, and when the stabs come out, the vocal comes back in. So they're almost playing the same role, but in different sections. And they've got mic shift on them, making them go wide. We've got the EQ8. Very simple. Got a bit of ping pong delay. And I just feel like without the stabs there, the track probably would be fine. You know what, this could work. But I think there's just a niceness in the fact something comes in and just keeps the listener guessing, keeps them engaged, keeps the club moving. I hear that little nice kick fill up there as well. So if we zoom in here, you'll see that I did the kicks at the underneath. Which is super nice. We we've got this in this section here as well. And these little kick fills will drive your track between sections. So you take the kick out and it just goes a little, which is very nice. The next sound, which is another one which takes the track to a high level, is this Minilog groove. So it goes. Super spaced out notes. Phase. Got phase on them and micro shift. So this is just a sound with quite the cutoff is quite low, but the resonance is very high. And you get this pingy acid sound. And there's a lot of reverb on it. You see all the effects on here. So we've got a lot of delay, a lot of tape delay on it. And you can see there's not a ton of notes, but because there's quite a lot of reverb and space on the notes. And it's just nice that these sounds come in on the 49. So you can't really hear them too much, they're just sat in the back of the mix. I think originally these were quite loud in that video I put up where I was in the studio. And then again we've got another sound here which is from the Waldorf. This was one that I added right at the end. I really think it's a cool sound. So it goes dun dun dun. And this is just a really nice icing on the cake, I think. Just takes the rave to the highest. Boom. You know, you can feel something good's about to happen. And that comes in again just towards the end. And this is just a simple hardcore sound. Micro shift, got a nice reverb on it, delay, tape delay. And as you can tell, I'd really just keep things simple. Because I've send and return set up nicely. This is the tape. This is why I love send and return so much, because if you set up the right ones, you don't have to do tons of processing on each sound. I feel like you can just send it to your returns and you've got a sick vibe. So that's them. We'll look at this pad in the intro as well, which is nice. This is just a note held down from the EMU, which is the Orbit synth, which is cool. Just a one note swirler. And it just gives it some weirdness. I recorded this just live. I just found a preset, hit record, and just overdubbed some sounds. And this only plays in the intro, just that first 32 bars to get some atmosphere in there. You can hear the acid coming through now. And we've also got effects from the famous OB. Just a little, again, one note. I record these live with the blue synth, which is behind me. I just hit record and have audio playing. This is why it's a great idea to have some synth in the studio that you can just hit record on and you just play random notes that are in scale with what you're doing. You can get some really cool sounds. That was something that Enzo actually told me quite a long way back. So See, it's just subtle in the background. And again, you see Paddy Emu 2. This was just another overdub. Just a note held down. It cuts out, and again, play another note. And it just fills that background. It's really refreshing looking back at these tunes because it reminds you of the little things that sometimes you can skip out. Just having a bit of noise from a pad in the breakdown and a pad in the introduction can just add so much more to the track. Then again, you see this OBFX. This will be another overdub where I've just played notes live off a keyboard. Yeah, listen, just noises. Super weird, but effective. So this other part here, which I can guarantee will be an audio thing, yeah. This will have been played live again off something. And this OB12 that I've got behind me, it's this weird Italian synth. It has all these kind of sounds. And you can just preset flick and play random notes and random chords. Okay, so next we're going to look at the effects, as these are a really big part of this track. I'm going to drag these to the bottom so they're a bit clearer. Let's dive into what's inside here. So inside the effects, we have got the elements which really add the sprinkling on the cake. So if we show you here the track actually dropping without any effects, doesn't sound nearly as good as when the effects are on. So let's play that again. So within the production process, you're actually spending no time at the end adding subtle effects and fills and things like that. You are missing out greatly on creating tension and having maximum input when your tune drops. So let's have a look inside here what we've actually got. The first thing to note is the classic little snare fill. If we listen to this here, turn this on. If we zoom in, and it's just a snare going, and it goes up in volume. So 1, 2 are quiet, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are much louder. So if we actually turn all the effects off, we'll go one by one to see what impact this has on the drop. So no snare with this fill, and it almost just tells the crowd, right guys, pay attention, it's about to go off. So that's there. And then also this 909 snare roll, which accompanies it, is another nice touch. And this starts a bit earlier. And as you can see, it comes up in volume as the track builds. So if you go in here, it's actually the velocities which increase. As you can see, they're quite low there, and they come up. And I'm not doing them in the perfect straight line. Having them slightly up and down gives it a bit more real feel. Lovely stuff, if I do say so myself. So that's two things anyone can do. Super easy, and it's added a lot. You don't want to hammer the snare roll, as it can make your tune sound quite cheesy, but with that, sounds great. Sounds absolutely great. Then we'll look at the 909 crash. Again, this is a very obvious basic one, but so effective. I use these to bring in breaks often when there's a change at the start of the bar. So let's listen. Then loads here. And these are just a classic. Something's coming, you know, when you start hearing the crashes build up, you know something's gonna come. you can tell the note length is shorter there, and it just gives it this little tss kind of effect, which I think adds a lot to this tune as well. And then we've got this effect that comes at the end of the bar. Just a weird robot sound, which I've got at the end of every 4 bars. Adds a bit of roboticness to the whole tune, I think. And let's look at this reso zap, which comes in just randomly. So right at the start of the tune, at 32 bars, at the start of this breakdown, there, just almost like a money shot. Listen to it. Just sampled. Almost gives it a like a zoomy effect. We can look inside here. Here we've got a shimmer, which just reverses into itself. They just bridge the gap. These are the sounds that will make it seem seamless when it transitions from one phase to another. Like again, if I turn the effects off, it'll just feel very dry when this thing changes. See, there's nothing. Whereas when the effects are on, that's much better. And then we can look at these. This is a big noise that I've got. It just builds up. It's just nice and quiet. But when it drops, it just offers a bit of extra tension. And I've also got a riser. And we've also got this zap, which I just have spread out again. So it just adds a bit of randomness. You don't want anything to be too predictable and too obvious. Adding sprinkles of randomness can really just keep things spicy. You can hear it there. So guys, that is Energy. I think it's rather simple. The killer elements there are the acid, the organ. That's what really makes the track drive, and it's super memorable, and the melodies are very, very nice. I hope you enjoyed that video. Any questions, let me know, and we'll be following on with the breakdown of Feel It after this one. So guys, thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, head over to SYNTHO Hub. The link will be in the description. You'll also be able to connect with like-minded people, get some track feedback, and a whole lot more. If there's any questions on this video, just put them below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.